honors class in session. Joey Votto is here. Joey, it's Brian Kenny. How are you? Good to see you again.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me, BK.
Good to have you here, of course. Joey, I wrote about this last week. I know it's early. We're about 40% into the season. There's an ebb and flow, but also there's a lot of struggle. And Joey, I'm talking about the upper elite. I'm talking about some guys who have been described as the best player in baseball. Raleigh, Bichette, Mookie Betts himself, Marcus Semien, who's been an 8-win player, Trey Turner, Manny Machado, Corey Seager, who had one of the most dominant seasons ever. So I'm just wondering, at this point, that collection of players, why would that be?
Yeah, every year we're going to have a sample of players that are deemed stars. We're going to have the best player in the game have a down year. And just so happens that this grouping of players is very recently, they've been quite successful, and they're just not starting off like they would hope to. So this is quite common. It just happens to be a bunch that, especially Raleigh, having the 60 homer year last year and then stepping down. I mean, he may be injured so far this year, so it's hard to tell.
Is there anything you think new? Look, being a human being, keeping the intensity up, now being rich and keeping the intensity up, you've had to deal with that. But also, how about game planning? It seems like there's more game planning. Pitchers have more of an attack plan. They can see all your weaknesses. Is there anything to that?
Well, I don't think money has anything to do with it. I think that, I'm not going to do the speculation thing. It's pointless to do that. Every one of these guys shows up every day. And especially, so it's fine. Let's say that your hypothesis is that they're making a lot of money, so they're going to kind of move sluggish into the season. I'll accept that, right? I'll accept that. But there's something about after that first week or that first series, that first month where, I have to pick it up. It doesn't matter how much you're making, how many awards you have, how famous you are, how many magazine covers, how special everyone tells you are. You look up on the board and you hear your hometown fans and you stand amongst your peers and you feel small. You feel small. And there's not, you can go back to your iPhone or and look at your bank account and see the big numbers. It doesn't matter because the pride of competition and being your best self is never going to change. And so, I'm just speaking from the player's perspective. When we compete, maybe you take a moment off, which these guys don't, by the way, but maybe you take a moment off, but there's no possibility that after a little bit of time when you're walking up to the plate, in New York City, in Los Angeles, in Miami, and you look up and you see a number that doesn't align with how you view yourself as a competitor, that you're going to say, well, I've got a big check coming this week. You're in competition mode and you want the very best of out of yourself. And I can speak for all 26 times 30 players.
Joey, I think the modern athlete and modern baseball player works very hard, but I know you and I both follow boxing.
It's not about working hard. It's not about working hard. It's about, you don't have to work. It's about, much of the game is emotional. It's primal. It's survival. So it's not about whether or not you get your reps in and you show up at noon. That may be one of the most overrated characteristics a player can have. Oftentimes it's about when you're down, can you come back? When you're feeling at your very worst, when you're sick, when things, all of these characteristics, all these inevitable experiences are going to cross your path. And do you have the wherewithal to be able to push through? And the examples of players that you have, are all going to push through because they're all proud, competitive guys.
Yeah, I'm not saying, to be clear, I'm not saying players get rich and fat. I'm saying it's human nature. I've seen plenty of world champion fighters win a title, make a ton of money, and as they say, there's a reason why they say this. It's tough to get up at 5 a.m. and run when you're wearing silk pajamas. It's slightly different, and I've seen it.
We get rich and we get fat, but we don't necessarily get rich and fat, if that makes sense.
Right. Fat comes later. Talk talk to me about Manny Machado. Very consistent year to year, right? He's always hitting around. Even I looked at the last couple of years. He's always hitting around 275. Last 3 years, he's slugging about 470, 480. You see, I put his from 2019, he's slugging 485. And like even within each year, it's very consistent. This year, hitting 171, even with a good walk rate. The on base is 253. Not a lot of power. OPS plus is 67. Age 33 season for Machado. What's your read on this?
I think every great player, and Manny is a great player, future Hall of Fame player, possible 3,000 hits, possible 500 home runs. You know, at the very end of his career, he's going to be looked at as a very clear first ballot Hall of Famer. Every great player goes through a stretch where the spotlight is on them because of their performance. And oftentimes it doesn't happen in the back third of the season, the middle of the season. It happens at the very beginning of the season because you don't have that luxury of having a good start or a good first half where it shows up. And you can kind of tuck it away. You can tuck away the poor performance. I would imagine every great player has had, and even Manny included, has had this sort of 266 plate appearance snapshot tucked into the middle or the back of the season. There's two spotlight parts of the season. Obviously, the playoffs, because that's tied to your legacy. And the very beginning of the season, because that's tied to how, you know, you show up and you're feeling about yourself that particular year. And the fans are saying, why don't you pick it up? Especially if the team doesn't start off super hot and they can forget about your performance and focus on the team's performance. If you're the best player, which Manny is, if you're the most important offensive player, which Manny is, and you're not carrying, you know, you're not carrying that franchise, which he accepts that responsibility. He's going to catch a little bit more flack. That comes with our big contracts. That comes with the notoriety that someone at Manny's level is going to have to deal with. So, from my perspective, I remember Derek Jeter starting off one year. I think he had an identical start to Manny, and I just remembered he ran through first base hard. He played hard. He showed up every day. Manny's always going to show up. I mean, he's at 2,000, almost 2,000 games played. If he ends up at 2,700, 3,000 games played, he'll be one of those guys that shows up and plays all the time. That's what he's going to do. And at the end of the season, if this is not his very best season, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a failure. It just means that it's another step along his Hall of Fame career.
Now, you dealt with this once, right? Was it 2016? We had some.
I've dealt with this several times.
All right. So what was that like when you had was it 2016? Because at a certain point, I know you had said, like, I'm not going to continue this if this is the way it is. So here we are through 24 games. That's early. But the weighted runs created plus is 66. What was going on when you look back?
Right. That's a really small sample. Yeah. I've had long stretches where, similar to Manny, where I played poorly, especially during times throughout the back half of my career. What happens? You have two choices. You can either, and it depends on the personality type. Because me, I was a really intense, emotional type of player, and some guys will tell themselves, "I got to dig in. I've got to be more intense. I've got to be more aggressive. I've got to work more. I've got to show up earlier." But then there's a group of guys that just need to take a step back and be more easy and let it come to them. And I don't know what version of a player Manny is. He knows, and he knows how to problem solve this. But it's just a matter of just showing up. As long as he's healthy and gets his game reps in, not practice reps, games reps in. And he would tell you this. He knows better than everybody that it's just going to come at some point. You know, watching him take his at-bats, yeah, he's not at his sharpest, but the bat speed is there, the presence is there, the health looks like it's there. So you'd have to ask him, but I don't see a guy he's 33. I do not see a guy in decline. I see a guy that's just experiencing one of those starts, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that year, by the way, you finished with a 158 weighted runs created plus. So you weren't fat that year. You're not fat now.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm one of the best hitters of all time. What do you mean?
Excellent. You finally said it. Excellent. I'd drag it out of you. Joey, great having you here. Thank you so much for your insight.
Thanks. Good to see you.
Appreciate it. Joey Votto.